You boys look like a weird heavy metal band.
Yes, we are a band.
Really?
Yeah.
So what do you play?
Symphonic, post-apocalyptic, reindeer-grinding, Christ-abusing, extreme war, pagan, Fennoscandic metal.
Right. Really interesting.
What is up, everyone? DJ Anubis here with you on the Metal Time Radio podcast with my co-host tonight, Gojira851, and we are here to review season 2 of Devil May Cry, which is an adult animated urban fantasy action television series created and shown by Adi Shankar and produced by Studio Mir, based on the Japanese video game franchise of the same name by Capcom. And if you didn't see it, this lovely gentleman to my left, he and I actually reviewed the first season probably about a year ago. It's been a while since it, but he and I are both fans of this franchise. Now, he's probably a far more bigger fan than I am, deep dive with him. But recently, after our first go with the first season, I actually ended up buying the games like Devil May Cry 5 and all that because I hadn't really kept up with the franchise after the first game. But I remember really, really enjoying that game, obviously, when it first came out. And this is going way back, of course. But season 2, I had to kind of like refresh myself because I had so much time has passed. The only problem when they spread it out is that you don't always remember what happened the first time around because you're busy watching all these other things throughout the next year. But as far as we know, Dante, our lead character, is basically put on ice at the end of season 1. As he's been betrayed by Mary, a girl that's got some, I guess you could say, sort of demon powers of sorts. How would you describe that in your mind?
She is a woman of really dark past. She's human, doesn't have really demonic powers. However, she has strong tenacity, and she just hates demons with a passion. But she has a deep respect for Dante because she finds out he is part human, and he has a soft spot for humanity as well. And even though he is part demon, he's not like a monster. And
Right.
she questions herself, about all the things that she's seen. Also, with this series, her upbringing as well, because they did change a lot from the games. Which Adi, you're a bad boy, Adi. You said you were gonna follow the games. You didn't. You really didn't, there, Mr. Shankar. But we'll get into that. But lady is handled okay, not great, but she's handled okay in this. Room for improvement, maybe, but I didn't hate exactly what they did with her. In season 1, everybody was upset with her being a little foul mouth. I don't have a problem with people cursing. I don't understand what people are in this day and age. Saying curse words is not that big of a deal. I care more about her following her character, and it was more like the plot of the story that actually really bothered me. Which it's like the politics of it that they crammed into it. But like she kind of stayed true to herself, and it's like cool, yeah. And then they kind of explored that more in this series and in this season. Cool, or sorry, excuse me, and awesome. And they gave her more room to grow, and also bringing back things from the game in an odd way. But we'll get into that. But I think they handled her okay. they're on the right path, but improvement is needed. But anyway.
Yeah, as far as like the language, like, one thing I've just learned over, the course of the last few years is that when it comes to these animated shows now, whether it's like Primal or, this here, like, based off the games, obviously you're going to draw in younger fans, but to be honest, most of stuff like this is made for more adults because we grew up with these games. We are more familiar with them. So even like when we talk about Mortal Kombat, that first, we talked about how we loved 95, but it's the fatalities that we see in the modern day that we kind of waited for, like, because it's more adult oriented. So when it comes to the animation of Devil May Cry, it's like, it doesn't faze me that we see guts and gore and bad language. I think it's actually kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I wouldn't suggest like young kids watch this until they're like at a certain age they can understand. And, obviously parental guidance is always like the first priority when it comes to what they're viewing anyway. So if a parent isn't paying attention to what their kids are watching, that's kind of on them, not really the kids. Like, it's not up to these creators to babysit your kids for you or to kind of cater to them. It's like you need to do the research, whether or not it's good enough for them to watch. I know I'm kind of droning on about preaching, but it's just, I'm with you on that, where like the language doesn't bother me. Like, that's because we're adults, we play these games, so we don't care. I don't know enough about the like timelines and history like you do with the characters. So obviously going into this season, I just had to take it at face value because, I recognize certain characters. Obviously, we see a lot more Virgil in this one than we had in the first season. So, again, we get a lot of him in this, which is cool. One of the things, like you mentioned about Mary's backstory, we get her backstory. We get a lot of Dante's and Virgil's backstory when they're younger, which again, I can't say how much of that is accurate to the stories of the games, but as far as the season, it's going. It's fun. It's awesome to kind of see how they're unraveling this. But yeah, so basically we kind of start off with, like we said, we got Dante isn't really out of his cryogenic stasis right now. He's still kind of in there at the beginning of the season here. So Mary over there, she's in the process of sneaking in while the battle between Earth and Hell are underway. So humans are fighting demons for control, and Darkcom is deploying all these soldiers. And so Mary is kind of like almost like a assassin / ninja. She's going in there while all this chaos is happening. She's sneaking in the back door and taking an artifact that this gentleman here, Arius, is wanting to get. And this also plays into, again, maybe you can clarify from your point of view, but at this stage of the series, everyone knows that Arius is like a demon. And so, but they've now, it's like humanity has kind of come to understand that some demons are helping us while other ones are not. And so when it comes to like the politics of it all with Banes and everybody, that, they're going to work with Arius to kind of stop this invasion from, I'm forgetting who the main baddie is in this, is it Argosax?
Argosax, yes.
Yeah. So, basically the objective is to kind of stop him from taking over Earth and just running rampant. So Arius is telling Baines that, I'll help you stop him, but I need these artifacts, these things in order to do that. But we know that as the viewer, we know that like, he's probably got like a secret objective that's not quite with humanity there. So from your point of view, again, in terms of how this is unraveling in the beginning, how close is it to the video games, and does it really follow at all?
Not at all. Not at all. Nope.
All new.
The best thing I would say to anyone who watches this show, don't think about the games and the timeline of the games. This is its own thing. So the idea of, actually it's Mundus. Mundus is the main villain of the show. Argo Sax is the other main villain, which if you have played the games, then you know that Arius is, with Ouroboros, he wants to resurrect Argo Sax, which I will say they handle him much better in this show than they did in Devil May Cry 2. Now, Devil May Cry 2 is its own can of worms as far as its creative process and how long it took to actually come out to, store shelves. And when they created it was a very rushed job and a very kind of lazy bit of a game. I enjoyed Devil May Cry 2. It's not as good as the first one. It sure as hell isn't good as the third one or the fourth or fifth. It's actually the weakest of the games. Do I hate it? No, but it needed a lot more time to cook, as the youth would say nowadays. But this show handles, Arius, Argo Sax, Lucia. Actually, no. Scratch that. It doesn't handle Lucia well at all, which I'll rant about later when they actually bring up Lucia or Kai. Which, anyway, it handles them much better, which actually in the game, you barely know anything about Arius. He's just some rich guy that wants to play with demonic stuff. In this, they actually gave him a full backstory. They gave him a full, look into what he is. I didn't know anything about, him living multiple lives. Him making a pact with Argo Sax, where he has to find, the sacred, the pieces, bring them together to, bring back Argo Sax. And the name escapes me for the moment, but all those things that's not really brought up in the game. Here, they actually do that, so I will give the show credit for that. But then again, they kind of just take everything from the games and just kind of smash them together in kind of like a Frankenstein's monster amalgamation of craziness. So if you can overlook that, you're going to have a great time. If you're trying to look at it through the lens of the games, you're going to want to pull your hair out. So, yeah. So I recommend, if you're going to watch this show, just look at it as the show and don't think about the games. Because,
I was going to say that if you're not at all familiar with the games, you should be okay with the show because it does give you its plot lines and story. It just doesn't match up if you're someone who's actually played all the games and know that mythology with the games and all that. So, But we do have also Mundus, who is this other kind of godlike demon that basically is in this other world. And his right-hand man happens to be Virgil. And Virgil, of course, is the brother of Dante. But at this point, again, Dante is still on ice. And Virgil, we get a glimpse of him. I forget exactly what was happening when he was in his own land or in that other universe. But we ended up getting introduced to probably his baddest ass chick I've seen is Chi. Kai, is that how it's pronounced?
Yes. And I need to rant a little bit about Kai over here. Kai is the name of Lucia from Devil May Cry 2, which they had her show up actually in Devil May Cry Season 1 for a split second, and then they kind of just did away with her. Now it's been confirmed. I Googled it just to make sure. I'm because I heard it when I was doing no, that's not Kai. Wait, Kai? Because it actually said that her name is Kai in Devil May Cry 2. It's no, wait a minute. That's not true. I even turned the subtitles. I hate subtitles when I'm watching a movie as well. I even turned the subtitles on to make sure. Yeah, Kai. So I Googled it, and it's yes, Lucia was in Season 1 for a brief cameo, and then it repurposed in Season 2 as Arius' right hand. It's oh, come on. She was the second playable character in Devil May Cry 2 to play as. That got on my, okay, that's the one time this show really got on my, oh, come on. She was a badass in that. And then they repurposed her into the bad guy.
Was she initially an ally to Dante in the second game, or was she still a villain?
No, in No, she was a hero in the game where she was trying to defeat Arius as well. She was trying to keep the pieces of that would resurrect Argosax away from Arius. But then she runs into Dante, and then they kind of start working together. So they became like partners, like unofficially, and then became like friends towards the end. And then they have kind of like a similar bond because she's what they call a mannequin, one of Arius' creations. So that's what all those women are as well. They're all mannequins, and they all work for Arius. So they got that part right, but she's the one that rebelled against Arius because she didn't want Argosax to be reborn, and also she knows that Arius is evil. But now they just made her evil. It's like, no, I wanted her to be good. That'd been awesome, like her and Lady or her and Dante just being awesome, and just.
I will say this though, like her character, like in this, is a badass, but it's also frustrating because like you want so bad for her to get her ass kicked, and she just keeps surviving and surviving and surviving. Like she's like a very strong character in this.
Also, she's the biggest rage baiter in this entire show. Like every time she opens her mouth, she's always saying something to piss you off. It's like, shut up, shut up, shut up. Just like, oh, lady, I did this thing over here, and I did it better than you. Oh, your emotions towards Dante is not professional. It's showing your weakness. And I'm like, shut up, shut up. It's like okay.
Yeah. It's like every time you think that like maybe Dante or Mary might get the better of Arius, like she just shows up out of nowhere and disrupts it. It's like, God damn it.
Or when they finally kill her, it's a clone. It's like, damn it, she like Dr. Doom or something? Why is it always a clone? Like,
Yeah. She's a fucking feisty one as a character, man. It's tough because like you kind of appreciate that she's a badass, but then you're like, God damn it, someone just put her out of her misery already.
Yeah. But also, a lot of the voice actors and actresses were actually repurposed from the Castlevania show into this show as well. Like we had Graham McTavish was actually Dracula in Castlevania. He's actually the voice of Arius in this show as well. And I believe the voice of Sypha was actually the voice of High in this show as well. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you had, I think David Keith is in this as voice. So I recognized him. Yeah. So, I mean, there's some great voice actors or actors in general doing the voices in this. So, obviously, as I said, Virgil runs into Kai and there's like this back and forth and she takes off, avoid being obliterated by Virgil. But Virgil ends up kind of getting suckered into coming into the Earth realm, and I'll let you take from here. Just kind of explain like what his plan is now once he gets into Earth realm, and you can kind of pick it up the story there.
So one of the artifacts was actually being looked after by Mundus in his chair, and so he can't cross over into the demon. He's a full-on demon, and with the barrier Sparta put up, so he can't cross over. So they have to like break Sparta's spell so that he can cross over. So Virgil says, "Well, I'll go over, and I'll blend in with the mortals, and I'll find the chalice, and we'll keep it out of the hands of the Argosax and the other people of Ouroboros, and I'll bring it back, and we won't have to worry about that." Just blah blah blah. So Mundus warns him, take heed. Your brother is still there. Don't fall into the trap of your love and attachment. And the verse like, I have no attachment, blah blah blah. So it's kind of like a Darth Vader / Emperor kind of esque thing, which whatever. So we have this fun little thing where Virgil uses the Yamato, where it's like a Devil May Cry 5 reference, which once again, the timeline is all over the place. And also, the way how Virgil gets the Yamato is very different in this than he does in the games, which, again, don't think about the games, people. Do not think about the games. You're going to drive yourself crazy. So anyway, he comes to Earth, and they predict how he gets to Earth. It's like, it starts to make me think, like, is Makai or the demon realm or hell, whatever they're calling it now, and Earth, are they like on top of each other? So like if he comes in the Earth realm in one end, does that mean he's going to come into Earth, the Makai, the other realm, or vice versa? Is that how they knew he was going to show up? Because they perfectly predicted where he was going to show up, and they perfectly knew where they're to have the border patrol there to catch him. It's like, wow, like all the places you knew he was going to be in this one spot, this one time. Okay, and they showed all over the map. They had all these spots picked out. It's like, okay. So, but anyway, just moving along. And then we get to like the best scene of part one of episode 1, and we have to talk about the music of this series, this season. Kind of like last season. Adi Shankar really likes his needle drops, kind of like James Gunn does with his movies. Except I think Adi picks better music. Where we start
I really enjoyed the soundtrack this season. It was great.
Mm-hmm. Even though he does kind of use some other Devil May Cry music that kind of doesn't fit in this, and I wish you actually used the actual Devil May Cry music as well, like Bury the Light, instead of like the remix that he did. I wish you used the real version, but I guess it's licensing or whatever. I'm just gonna let it go. Anyway, but we start to hear "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor." And then Virgil breaks out of his bondage, and he just starts slaughtering Ouroboros agents one by one as he's like taking them down one by one. He takes down 2 jets, slashing them up as the entire time he's doing this, just going ham, going nuts. Finally gets down to the last guy. He wants to know who has the Ouroboros sign, who put them in that, and pretty much the first episode ends there. Badass.
Yep.
So yeah.
So then we start just getting more into Arius and his interactions with Bane, and then we also have like the president, which atypical Texan.
It hurts.
Yeah, we know exactly what's going on there with that. Yeah. But the gung ho Texan president. Yeah. But again, it's like this trifecta of these powerful people that are working together, and obviously there's a lot of towards the end where it's a lot of backstabbing and betrayal. But again, we somehow Dante, I forget what they were going to do to Dante, but he ends up breaking out of his cryostasis because like they were trying to do something, and I forget what it was. But his power inside, like through all his nightmares or his dreaming, he just kind of awoke and smashed out of it as if he could hear him, I guess.
Well, they were planning on letting him out, but as they were starting to thaw him out, they wanted to do it slowly. But as he was starting to regain mental capacity, he started to have his nightmares, and he could actually feel Virgil as Nilo Angelo, and also turning back and going in. This is also weird, him turning into Nilo Angelo and turning into Virgil. Because, okay, again, I keep saying this, but I gotta go back to this. When Moonbus turns Virgil into Nilo Angelo, it's a very painful process, and it's kind of like a stripping of the human body and turning you into like a monster, pretty much. There's no going back pretty much from it. And for him to be able to just go back and forth willy-nilly, it's very jarring, but then again, it's also interesting. It's an interesting concept to play around with, but also if you play the games, it's very jarring. It's just it's almost like a go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what was it they call that form? Because like Virgil, we find out that he has total grasp of his other form, like the demon form. But whereas Dante, when he goes into that form, he doesn't really have any control. It's like more out of emotion and uncontrolled anger and fury. So but I forget what they call that form. It's something that Mundus was always trying to get Virgil initially to break into when he first took Virgil under his wing. Do you remember what they call that form?
Well, the devil trigger is like their family, what they turn into. But like the Nilo Angelo, that is the like form that Mundus like got him to turn into when he's just in the demon realm. So it's like, but it's like that's not the way Nilo Angelo works. It's kind of like a punishment, almost like he would turn you into. It's almost like imprisoning you inside the armor, pretty much. It's like for him to just be able to get out of it, just looks cool. It's also dumb. It's also dumb, but okay, whatever. Anyway, and I still like the show, but just some things are kind of dumb in this show as well. But anyway,
it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Now, also in this season, we kind of get a little bit of flashbacks to the White Rabbit from the first season. And we also get introduced to the Jester. And, for the most part, he's just like this creature that serves under Mundus and has been tasked with spying on Virgil and Dante and even Mary. And so, we really don't know his backstory. We do finally eventually get it, but it's very creepy. This always reminds me of the little mannequins and stuff from the first game. Just very creepy looking demon and whatnot. But the other thing is we get like I said, we get a lot of the backstory between Mary, Virgil, and Dante when they're younger kids. And of course, they all have like all these tragedies. Mary's dad just ended up, twisting and turning into a demon and ended up killing her mother. And then, of course, with Dante and Virgil, demons attacked their house, to which the demons killed their mother, which Virgil has always kind of blamed Dante for, because at the time when they were younger, Virgil hadn't really broken out of his power shell as a kid, whereas Dante was able to do it pretty early on as a kid. And so Virgil always kind of had this animosity and anger towards Dante for not saving their mother. Like they're always close. But it was also the other thing I thought was crazy, which is a good part of the story because it makes you kind of feel for Dante, is when the mother's telling Virgil when they're younger that, you're special because you don't need superpowers to be special. And Dante overhears this, and it kind of hurts his feelings, making him feel like he's not good because he has these powers. It's just kind of a interesting dynamic. I love how Abby though set that up in the storyline.
Yeah, that was fun. It's kind of that way, except from what I remember, they were more equals as kids, and but no, it was a fun aspect to show, and also for the future, it shows where Virgil actually grows as a character as well. But yeah, I liked the backstory they showed for the kids as well. Yeah, that was fun.
So yeah, as I said, one thing also, again, because based on that past history with them younger, once Dante actually finds out that Virgil's alive, he's kind of shocked. And so Mary and Dante are, of course, trying to confront Virgil at various times. And one thing we see a lot of is Virgil and Dante fighting each other. It's like Dante, he's in a sense like he really wants to reconcile with Virgil, and because it is his brother, he didn't even know his brother was alive. And so he was just kind of like always, Dante's always, that's persona of Dante's always been kind of like, he's a great fighter, but he's sort of like a goof. He's always been goofy, like in terms of the way he acts. And that's probably why humans kind of attract to him, because he's just a numbskull. But Virgil's very serious, he's very calm most of the time, and he's just very powerful as well. But again, the anger from as a child over Dante leads them to fighting each other. But it's also kind of funny too, because a part of me wonders, I guess Virgil kind of says it at some point where, as he's fighting, he actually impales Dante with his sword at some point. He says, you can't die, but I'm just going to leave you here or something, hanging or something like that.
Yeah. That's actually a very running gag of the Devil May Cry franchise. I think that happens to Dante at least once in every game, except for part 2. But like in every game, Dante's at least run through at least once, and he's like incapacitated for a little bit. I think it's a long time. I know in the third one, it's actually explained. That's the third game. It's called Dante's Awakening, and Virgil does the exact same thing to him. He like, runs him through with his own sword, which is funny stuff. So yeah, they're always doing shit like that to each other.
Well, I'll let you pick up some of the story here just in case I overstepped something and you wanted to talk about something, or you can just carry the story from here and just kind of give us more breakdown of what's happening in the series and certain points that, make sense for you in terms of important things that people should know. Like we don't want to give away total spoilers, but we also want to give you a good idea of what to expect when you're watching this season as well. So go ahead.
So Virgil is kind of the new answer to the White Rabbit in this, and where they kind of flip the story of the games on its head a little bit, where instead of Mundus being like the overall villain, he's almost like the hero for Virgil. And he's like, oh, I did this thing for you. Now you're going to go do this thing for me, and it's going to be like a greatness. And now Virgil's like sees like him like this great lord and everything, and he wants the power to like prove himself or something, and he wants to like be more than what he is. And then he says to Dante, like Dante's like why are you like defending a guy who killed our mother? He's like, according to who? Some guy in a bunny costume. You're like insulting the guy from the first season. It's like, look, I'm not gonna lie. I enjoyed the White Rabbit, but Virgil's a much better villain. And to completely throwing the story on top of his head and making Dante completely question his entire, existence in this as well. And then, the fight sequences as well. Sometimes I feel they made Virgil a little too overpowered. Like I'll say they had a sniper on a building, like maybe like a mile away. And Virgil's like kind of just turns and looks at him and like smiles. It's like, oh, so we're going to believe that this guy is going to be able to shoot Virgil from this far away. But now Virgil can actually perceive him and see him from that far away. It's like, that's badass, but also insane. And also, I think it's funny that they tried to pick up a little bit with the plot of the first season of the whole invading hell, pretty much, where Virgil goes on TV and everything, kind of like they did with the Dark Knight Returns kind of thing, where the Joker goes on TV. And it's like, I was just waiting for Virgil like go nuts and just pull out Yamato and just like kill everyone, but it's like, no, that just doesn't happen. And then we had President Texas, and he wants to negotiate. It's President Hopper. I know it's President Hopper. I just want to say President Texas. And we see that there's some stuff going on. Okay, and Virgil he defeats Dante. Fun stuff. He does that in the games as well. That's actually something that a lot of people don't know. Virgil actually is very powerful in the games as well. So he keeps going, and he just walks right into Darkcom. Like, wait a minute, how is he getting in here? And turns out President Hopper actually turned on Baines and Arius. And wants to have them set up and be killed by Virgil. And that's where we get a legit boss fight between Virgil and Arius, which is another thing I will give Devil May Cry Season 2. They made Arius an actual, threat in this. In Devil May Cry 2, when you fight Arius, he's just in a room. And he's just sitting on his table, and he teleports to a chair to his left. And then he teleports to a chair to his right, and then he teleports to the center of the room, and you just go over and you just hit him with your sword over and over again. It's like, he's not a threat. In this, he's got the chalice, which makes him powerful. He's got the devil sword Sparta, and it's like, yeah, he's a threat. So yeah, and they're actually playing boss music as well. It's like, I'll give the show credit. It's trying to do something. It's just, as far as trying to go with the games, it's like, yeah, you're not following the games there, pal, but it's still entertaining. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's obviously some parts where, where they do get a hold of one of the artifacts, and Dante and is tasked with destroying it, or he's tasked with destroying it. But as Virgil tries to like distract, I believe it's Arius at the time, but instead of destroying it, Dante tries to go and hide it somewhere, and but eventually, no, he was supposed to hide it, but he was supposed to keep running around and hiding it, but he ends up going to a guy named Lucan, who again is voiced by David Keith, who has like some sort of like mystical powers to where he might be able to destroy the artifacts, so they wouldn't be able to complete the ritual. And of course, that leads to another confrontation with Virgil, because he gets pissed off at that because he didn't do the right thing. But so you have that going on, and then I think. And maybe you can kind of clarify as far as the games are concerned, but I won't name any names, but you'll know who I'm talking about, because Kai gets into a battle with one of the characters and actually makes it look like this particular character dies. Yeah. And so, and I thought, as a bummer as it would have been, I thought, well, you know what, that's a good twist, because you expect to lose somebody somewhere in this. And there are other deaths, but not to the main character. So like when this particular character seems to be killed or whatever, I'm thinking, oh, that's huge. Like that's a big deal. But it turns out that person isn't actually dead. So you probably know who I'm talking about. My first question is, like, when it comes to the games, is this particular character go through the entire series? Like, I don't remember. But the second question is, like, would you have rather seen that character maybe perish?
Did this character go through the entire series? From her initial debut to the last game that she appeared in, she's still alive. And I'm happy she's still alive. If they did kill her, I probably would have thrown something at my TV. That would not have been cool, because she's actually a really cool character, and that would have made very little sense. I mean, Kai is a badass character. Again, the mannequins have their own form of devil trigger, and it would have made sense if she did die, and it's kind of a bullshit plot armor that she did survive, but it's like, okay, whatever, she survived. Just okay, I've seen her survive in the games and the other anime as well, so it's like, okay, she's still alive. Okay, whatever. I mean, the plot's got a plot, so go ahead. So.
Yeah, no. So that was one of those things where I was like, because it does serve its purpose. It has Dante kind of lose his shit and transform, but again, he doesn't really have any real control over his other form, so he ends up just kind of like gassing himself to the point that he just can't compete with Arius or even Kai at that point. They're just kind of outsmarting him with his anger. But obviously, Lucan, he was supposed to try to destroy. He was close to destroying the artifact, but doesn't make it. And Arius eventually gets that piece, and that completes his nice, lovely set of figurines. just like Goji in his background, he's got all his figurines there. Yeah, but so you do get some deaths here and there, and then of course. The granddaughter Maddie, like, I don't know if she really served a purpose other than to be like bait, but I don't know. Like, I don't know much about her character. I don't recognize her from anything in the game, so I think she is an added one in there. Yeah, I don't know. Where do we go from here with this? Because obviously, Arius has got his pieces, and his ultimate plan, of course, is to release Argosax onto the world. And I don't know, like, it's funny when they finally do like bring him into the world, which actually is sort of like a Blade moment where Arius ends up transforming into that god. And so, Argosax is a tough being, and he's got some crazy shit too, like killing all the humans the way he did with all the tentacles and shit. That shit was crazy, draining them. So I thought that was kind of cool. Again, this isn't really meant for younger kids, so it's for us big adults who play these games and whatnot. So go ahead and explain like how you felt about how the towards the end of the season was unraveling with the ritual and the transformation and stuff like that of Arius.
They handled Argosax much better in Devil May Cry the show than they did in the game. In the game, essentially in the game, what happened was you took all the bosses from Devil May Cry 2, you turned them into a giant blob of blood and gut gore thing, and you just run around and you shoot them until the point where there's like a pod, and then out comes like this fiery being, and then the fiery being turns into like this small skinny being into like this big buff being, and then you just like, again, you run around the board, and then you eventually just either shoot it or hit it with your sword, and then it dies. Very boring boss. In this, they turn it into like this giant kaiju thing that's like acting like a blob, that's like absorbing people's life essences and like turning them into like skeletons, and using like its powers to like create swords and destroy buildings and shit. It's like, okay, this is pretty. It has like a giant mouth for like a belly and shit, and Arius is like controlling it like it's a Gundam or something. It's like, this is pretty badass. And also, the whole solar eclipse and everything to bring it to life. And it's like, yeah, okay, I can dig this. This is awesome. And then eventually you have Dante and Virgil like show up to do its thing, and Argosax is actually really cool. I like the design of Argosax in this much better than the game, and I thought it was handled much better. Again, but I will say they really dropped the ball with Dante in this show, though. The show is, they handled Virgil very well. He's my favorite character in the games as well, which I know it's kind of sacrilege to say that about Devil May Cry. Like, oh, how could you like Virgil more than you like Dante? It's like, it's my opinion. Leave me alone. But like Dante is also like an awesome character as well. Like, I love Dante as well. He's not handled like the best in these shows. It's like he's always getting his ass kicked. He doesn't have control over his powers. It's like he's a little too jokey at sometimes.
Yeah, like, I was going to say, it's like they almost think that like he doesn't take stuff serious enough. Like obviously he has like a sense of humor and stuff, but yeah, I can see like why it gets a little frustrating, because even the character Mary points out that, I like this light-hearted part of you, but you don't take anything serious. And so it always gets his ass kicked because he's not taking everything serious. And maybe because he knows that he's kind of like immortal, that he can do that. But I don't know if it's like something they're going to try to build up to, because obviously I've played like most recently the Devil May Cry 5, which I haven't finished, but there's like a slew of characters in there that I haven't seen yet. So I'm wondering if they're just kind of building to that point. And so maybe by the time we get further in the series, maybe Dante becomes more focused or more powerful than he is now. I don't know if that's the plan, but right now I can see why it's pretty frustrating to watch him just get his ass beat here and there.
And I will say, I see what you mean, but the show is still called Devil May Cry, and in the first game,
Yeah.
I know that's not exactly the best example because that's not even the first in the timeline. Let's go back to Devil May Cry 3. I know I shouldn't be doing that. I said like 100 times at the beginning of the video, don't think about the games, don't think about the games. But okay, I'm going to break my rule. I'm going to think about the games. The first game, technically, is Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening. Dude's a badass in that game before he gets his devil trigger. And then when he fights Virgil and gets his ass kicked and gets his devil trigger, he becomes even more of a badass. It's like, okay, but it's like we're in season 2 now. I'm done with these showrunners doing this shit. Like, I don't want to wait 3-4 seasons for these characters to be badasses. They're already badasses. Stop doing this. Dante's been a badass always. It's like there's the 2007 anime that came out. He was a badass in that. All these games, he's been, even though people want to like say Devil May Cry 2 sucked, he was a badass in that. It's like, why are we doing this to Dante? I mean, Virgil's awesome. Make both Virgil and Dante a badass. It's like we don't need to make Dante look like a chump. I'm just saying, he's a badass. We don't need like this weird yin yang crap. Okay, they could both be cool. They could both be badasses, and we don't need a joking Deadpool as character in everything nowadays. People, I'm just saying. Anyway, all right, ran over.
That's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously after the defeat of Argosax, it's now Virgil and Dante need to close the rift, but they kind of argue about that to a point, and then of course Virgil boots Dante back into the Earth realm and stays within the demon realm, which he kind of feels like that's where he belongs anyway. That's where he's always been his entire existence since as a kid. So Danny's decided that he's going to take on Mundus because like it's unveiled that Mundus is actually behind the death of his mother, and so this is revenge now, or vengeful Virgil to take on Mundus and take over as king of the underworld. There is a moment that we see Mary's, she's watching a recording of her dad talk. I think he's talking to Arius or maybe talking to Texas. I can't remember which one he was talking to. But there's something that happens. I don't want to really give it away, but it ends up showing us exactly who her dad is, and so that's where we kind of get this new revelation. It's like, oh shit,
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those what the fuck moments. So really, in your opinion, just kind of like wrapping up the series, how do you feel about the final episodes and how it plays out? Not compared to the games.
Well, I love the final duel between Dante and Virgil. There's a scene they took right out of Devil May Cry 5, and I thought in animation style, I thought it looked absolutely awesome. There's a song that they did, that Papa Roach did. I can't remember the group that worked with Papa Roach with it, but they did a song, See You in Hell. They did a band version, and they did kind of like a symphonic version. Well, they did the band version was released. You can find that like on Instagram. You can find that on Facebook. You can find that everywhere. There's a version that played when they fought in this final version that just sounded like the world was ending. And it was, I hate to say it sounded beautiful. And then after it was done, and like when Virgil sent Dante back to Earthrealm, like the music just kind of crescendoed, and like it almost sounded like a devil was crying when he sent Dante back to Earthrealm. And then we reached into the thing and pulled the thing out to give back to Dante. It like sounded like it was crying even more. And it's like, okay, that started to hit me there. It's like, okay, I like this. Okay, it's not perfect. There's other songs from the Devil May Cry franchise I like more, but it's like, okay, I like this. And then that final moment when the big bad looks at Virgil, and Virgil has his Form 3 from the games, and it's like, okay, that's something I would like to see happen in Season 3, because we know, we got a confirmation, Season 3 is being worked on. So how is that going to play out? So, but like, I really enjoy it. Now, there was a scene in earlier in the season that bothered the shit out of me when I first saw it. But then when I had a chance to think about it, it makes perfect sense. The song My Immortal by Evanescence played during the scene where Dante stopped the truck with one hand, which also, that's a badass feat, by the way. It's kind of funny because that was kind of like a rip from Twilight, which don't ask why I know that, because essentially the internet kind of like the internet kind of like bombarded my Facebook with that. It's like, okay, I get it. Thanks for telling me that. Okay, I didn't really need to know that, but okay.
He likes some sparkly vampires.
Oh yeah, so yeah, the Meyer Pyres. Oh yeah, thanks. So anyway, that song is playing, like, okay. Essentially, the two of them are falling in love with each other at this point. And then when she leans in and kisses him, it's like they like each other, and it's like, why are they playing like a sappy, sad song? Like, what the fuck does this mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, Adi, are you just putting random shit in here? Like, what the fuck does this mean? And it's like, then you see the end of the show, it's like, oh, now I get it. Watch the show to understand what I mean, people. But anyway, it's like, now I understand why he played that song. Okay, I get it. All right. Oh, okay. Anyway, I just wanted to throw a little zinger in. But anyway, so yeah.
All right. So wrapping it up, give it your final thoughts on season 2, and then give me your rating for season 2 out of 10.
Season 2, I enjoyed far more than season 1. I can't remember what I gave season 1. Again, I enjoyed season 2. Okay. I'd rather call this show Virgil May Cry, because he stole the show. I love the scene where he just let the bodies hit the floor. I thought that was awesome. If I could, I would put Bury the Light over that scene, though, because I thought that song would actually fit more over that. But then again, Let the Bodies Hit the Floor actually went really well with it as well. But anyway, I would say Netflix, you need to work on your mixing of your music, because during that entire scene, all I heard was the music. I could barely hear the sound effects of the actual show along with it. There needs to be a balance. Like, I barely heard like the gunfire, the sword, and everything. I all heard was like the music blaring, but I don't know. But anyway, whatever. But out of 10, I would give this to probably about an 8, maybe 8.5.
Yeah, I think I'm there with you. I don't remember what I did on the first season either. I do remember we both enjoyed it, but we also had a lot of concerns with it at the time. But this one did seem much stronger. Like, I was really engaged with it from start to finish, because I did just kind of like binge watch it all. And I agree. Virgil was actually the more interesting character with the backstory and everything. And he was very duplex type of character because of his dual role, basically, of being both an ally and an anti-hero, because of his own purpose that he had for himself. But yeah, I did enjoy this. I'd probably give it 8.5 as well. Highly recommended. I mean, I think even if somebody that played the games and you kind of had the issues with some of the consistency with the plot devices and all that, I think you can still enjoy the series for what it is. And if you're not someone who's ever played it, you don't have to worry about that, because at least you have a storyline you can at least follow that's not too confusing. You just have to keep your character straight, because there is a lot of characters that go on in this. But it is a lot of fun. You can have a lot of fun with this type of series. So, and I'm glad they're doing a third one. So, Goji, thank you for joining me. It was a lot of fun talking about this, as always. We'll have to do another one for season 3, of course. For the rest of you who've seen this series and seen this season, hit us up in the comment section. Let us know how you felt about it. Did we miss anything talking about it? Try not to give away too many spoilers, but also just let us know your thoughts. Did you enjoy it? Do you expect more? Do you agree with Goji on some of his points about some things should be better in the sound and the soundtrack and stuff like that? So hit like and subscribe, and please go like and subscribe to Gojira851. He's got a good channel over there, and we'll see you next time on the Metal Time Radio podcast.